Smoke filled the sky. The once beautiful colony of New Terra 5 was now a land of fire and ash. Buildings had fallen. Ships were destroyed. The air smelled like metal, blood, and fear. The alien army had come fast. They landed without warning. They called themselves the Draxian Empire, a race of tall, armored beasts with glowing blue eyes and sharp metal weapons. No one had seen them before. They ruled everything. The humans fought, but their weapons were weak against Draxian tech. In just 3 days, the colony fell. Only a few survivors remained. One of them was a girl. She was 16. Her name was Lyra. She had no gun, no armor, no helmet. Just dirt on her face and torn clothes. Her hands were empty. She was alone. Lyra walked slowly across the broken ground. Her legs shook. Her lips were dry. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Behind her, a Draxian soldier shouted something in their language. He pointed his electric spear at her back. "Move, human." Second one barked in rough English. Lyra said. Nothing. She kept walking. They took her to the center of the old colony, where other humans had already been captured. Men, women, children tied, hurt, or crying. The aliens had made a circle. In the middle was a high platform. A Draxian leader stood on top, tall and proud, his armor covered in gold marks. Commander Varric. He looked at the girl with cold eyes. "This is the one?" he asked. "Yes, Commander," said a soldier. She was hiding near the wreckage. No weapon, no ID, just dust. The crowd of aliens laughed. Commander Varric smiled. "You bring me a child with nothing?" he said. "Are humans this weak now?" The soldiers laughed louder. One picked up Lyra's arm and lifted it high. "Look," he shouted. "Empty hands, no blade, no fire, not even a stone." The other aliens cheered, but Lyra didn't cry. She didn't scream. She looked at the dust under her feet. It was gray, soft, and strange. It sparkled in the light. She knelt down slowly and touched it with her fingers. A soldier kicked her side. "Don't move, girl." But Lyra kept her fingers on the ground. She felt something, warm, a pulse, a small hum like a song buried under the earth. She closed her eyes, in her mind. She heard her mother's voice, soft and calm. "The earth remembers, Lyra. You must listen to it. When the time comes, you'll know." The Draxian commander raised his hand. "Enough games, kill her." One soldier raised his spear. Energy lit up at the tip. Lyra whispered, "Please." Pressed her palms harder into the dust. Suddenly a spark. The dust beneath her glowed red, then gold, then bright white. The ground shook. The alien with the raised spear screamed. His weapon exploded in his hand. He fell, shouting in pain. The others backed away in shock. "What is this?" one cried. The dust around Lyra began to swirl, rising like smoke. Sparks danced in the air. The Draxian stared in fear. "She's doing something? Stop her!" But no one moved. The dust moved faster now, spinning like a storm. Lyra stood slowly. Her eyes glowed with the same light as the dust. Her empty hands were now full of fire, not real fire, but living light, shaped. Like flames dancing over her fingers, the alien stepped back. "She has no weapon," one shouted. "But she holds the ground itself," another cried. Commander Varric narrowed his eyes. "Impossible. This planet is dead. The human tech was destroyed." Lyra looked at him. "No," she said. "The dust remembers." And then she ran. Energy burst behind her as she sprinted away. Alien weapons fired. Blasts hit the ground, but none touched her. The dust moved with her, like a shield. She disappeared into the ruins. VA Rock stood frozen, staring at the scorch marks where she had knelt. A silence fell over the aliens. Finally, he said, "Find her. Bring her to me, dead or alive." One soldier whispered, "Commander, what if she's the one from the old stories?" Varric growled. "Stories don't kill trained soldiers." "She does." Go far away, in the quiet of the broken hills, Lyra fell to her knees behind a stone wall. Her hands still burned with strange light. She looked at them. "I don't understand," she whispered. "What am I?" The dust didn't answer, but it glowed under her fingers warm. Alive, waiting. Lyra hid inside the broken remains of a human house. The roof was gone. The walls were cracked. But it was quiet, safe for now. She sat with her back against a wall, breathing hard. Her hand shook. The light from her fingers was gone, but the dust still glowed faintly under her legs, like warm ash after fire. She looked at her hands. "What did I do?" she whispered. She tried to remember how it happened. The fire. The light. The power in the ground. It had come from nowhere. Or maybe from her. She remembered her mother's voice again. The earth remembers. You must listen to it. When the time comes, you'll know. Was this what her mother meant? Outside, a Draxian scout ship passed overhead. Its light swept across the ground. Lyra ducked low. She covered her mouth and waited. The ship flew away. She stood slowly and looked around the room. Everything was broken. Chairs, dishes, metal tools burned or shattered. But something in the corner caught her eye. A glowing stone, small, round, covered in dust. She picked it up. The stone was warm, pulsed in her hand like a heartbeat. Suddenly, her fingers glowed again. Light flowed from her skin into the stone. Sparks danced in the air. The dust on the floor shimmered like water. Lyra gasped and dropped the stone. The glowing stopped. She picked it up again. Nothing. She held it tighter. Sparked, the light returned. She smiled. "Just a little, it's real." She whispered it wasn't. A dream. Meanwhile, far away in the alien base, Commander Varric stood inside a dark chamber. A huge screen showed footage of the attack, Lyra glowing, the dust rising, a soldier's weapon exploding. V.A. Rock watched it again and again. Human. "Girl," he said. "No tech, no implant." But the dust obeys her. A tall alien in silver armor entered. "Commander," he said, "our scientists believe the dust is part of old human Terratech." Varrock turned. "That tech was destroyed centuries ago." Alien nodded. "Yes, but this planet New Terra 5 was one of the original test sites. The dust might still be active. Alive. Varric growled. "Then we burn the whole planet." Back in the ruins, Lyra walked carefully through. The wreckage. She held the glowing stone in her hand like a lantern. The dust around her shimmered gently, lighting her path. She came to an old fountain, dry, cracked, but strange symbols were carved into the stone. She touched the edge, felt something shift inside her mind, a memory, but not hers, in her mind's. She saw a woman standing in this place, long ago. A human scientist, holding the same kind of glowing stone, speaking to a group of children. "The dust is not magic," the woman said. "It's memory. It's power shaped by thought, by emotion. It remembers what we dream, what we fear, what we love." The vision faded. Lyra gasped. "It's alive," she said, "and it listens." She looked around. The dust sparkled more brightly now. It curled gently around her feet like mist. She took a deep breath. "Okay," she said. "Let's try." She stood in the center of the fountain. She closed her eyes. She pictured a small light, just a candle, soft and warm. Her hands glowed. The dust rose. A tiny flame floated above her palm reel, but not hot. It danced like it was alive. She smiled. Then a noise. Footsteps. Lyra spun around. The flame vanished. A tall man in dirty clothes stepped from the shadows. Human, thin, wearing broken armor. "Easy," he said. "I saw the light. Just me. No Draxians." Lyra stepped back. "Who are you?" "Name's Yolan," he said. "I saw what you did. With the dust." She said nothing. "I recorded it," he added. "Back at the square. When you burned them." Lyra's heart raced. "Why? People need hope," Yolan said. "They need to see we still have power. You're something new, or something old that came back. He held out a hand. Come with me. We have others. Fighters. Survivors. We can protect you. Lyra looked at him, then at the glowing stone in her hand. Can you help me learn? She asked this ... thing in the dust. Yalan nodded. If it's human tech, we'll figure it out together. Lyra took his hand. As they walked away, the dust behind them shimmered in, tiny sparks followed in their steps. Lyra followed Yalan through the broken city. The streets were quiet but dangerous. Crashed ships blocked roads. Bodies lay under fallen metal. Smoke still rose from the attack. The Draxians had left soldiers behind, searching for her. Every few minutes, Yalan stopped and listened. His eyes moved fast. He knew this place well. Lyra stayed close. You're sure the resistance is real? She asked. Jalea nodded. We have a base. Deep underground. The Draxians can't find it, and they'll help me. If they don't, Yalan said, they're fools. They moved past a wrecked factory and into a canyon. The cliffs were high on both sides. Dust covered the path. Strange symbols were carved into the rocks. Old human tech, Lyra asked. Yeah, Yalan said. This canyon used to be part of a research zone before the war, before the dust went silent. But it's not silent anymore, she said. No, Yalan said, because of you. Suddenly, Yalan raised a hand. Wait, Lyra froze. From above, voices in a harsh alien tongue echoed off the rocks. Dr. AXIO, soldiers. They were on the cliffs watching the canyon. Traps set, guns ready. It's an ambush, Yalan whispered. They must have tracked us, and one of the Draxians shouted, There she is, the Dust Girl. Blasters lit up the canyon. Yalan pulled Lyra behind a rock. We're pinned. Shh. Hit around them, spraying sparks. Rocks exploded. Lyra covered her head. We're trapped. Yalan pulled out a small pistol. This won't stop them. Need a miracle. Lyra looked at the ground. Dust everywhere. She touched it with both hands. Not a miracle, she said, just fire. She closed her eyes and remembered the feeling warmth, light, the spark in her blood. The dust responded. The ground glowed. The Draxians above noticed. She's doing it again. Fire on her. Too late. The dust lifted from the canyon floor like smoke. It spun around her, fast, faster, glowing red and gold. She raised her hands. Flames shot upward straight at the cliffs. But these flames were alive. They didn't burn stone. They targeted weapons. Blasters melted. Mo exploded. One alien screamed. As his armor lit up and cracked, the rest scattered, yelling in panic. Jalen stared in shock. You burned their weapons. Lyra was breathing hard. Her hands glowed white. The dust circled her like a storm. They wanted fire, she said. I gave them fire. She looked up, her voice steady. I'm not running anymore. They climbed out of the canyon as smoke still rose. No Draxians followed. At the top, they met two other humans or assistant scouts. One was a woman with a long rifle. The other, a short man with cyber eyes. They stared at Lyra. You the Dust Girl? The woman asked. She's more than that, Yalan said. She just burned an entire ambush team. The man nodded. Command needs to see this. Led her across the ridge deeper into the wildlands. Later, in a hidden cave, Lyra sat beside a small campfire. Not dust fire, just real fire, from sticks. She stared into it, Jale, and sat nearby. You okay? He asked. I don't understand why it listens to me, she said. The dust, the fire. It's not just tech. It feels alive. It is alive, said a voice behind them. An old woman stepped forward, worn clothes, bright eyes. She sat beside Lyra. My name's Ina. I helped build the dust long ago. You made it? Lyra asked. Helped shape it, Ina said. It was human science, but it became something more. We called it echo dust. Why? Because it remembers us, Ina said. our hopes, our fears, our fire. The dust echoes the strongest will it touches. Yours must be very strong. Lyra looked down. I just didn't want to die. Sometimes, Ina said, that's enough to light a spark. Far away, inside a Draxian ship, Commander Varric slammed his fist onto a console. She escaped again. He roared. A scout bowed low. Yes, Commander. The canyon burned. 10 warriors down. All weapons destroyed. Varrock turned to his second. She's using human dust tech. This cannot continue. Prepare the Hunter's elite unit? The second asked. Yes, Varrock said. They do not mock. They kill. Back in the cave, Lyra stood and walked to the edge of the tunnel. The stars above looked cold and distant. She held out her hand. A tiny spark lit on her fingertip. The dust around her feet shimmered. Not just a weapon, not just fire. It was a promise. The next morning, Lyra stood on the edge of a high cliff. Below her, the same canyon where she had escaped the Draxians now lay, quiet and empty. But it would not stay quiet for long. Yolan walked up beside her. He had a rough map in his hands. There's movement near the South Pass, he said. Dropships landed in the night. They're bringing more troops. They're looking for me, Lyra said. Jale nodded. Yes, but now we fight back. Behind them, the hidden cave was full of resistance fighters. Some were old soldiers. Some were just farmers with broken tools. But they had fire in there. Eyes, and they had hope. Ina, the older woman who once helped build the dust tech, stood at the front. She spoke to the group. For years, we thought the dust was lost. Silent. Dead. But the girl has awakened it. Lyra stepped forward. I don't know how I'm doing it, she said. But I want to learn. I want to fight. Not just run. Yolan smiled. Ina pointed to a stone table where pieces of old tech were spread out dust stones, controlled chips. Strange wires. We'll teach you what we can, she said. But the dust already knows you. It listens to your heart, your will. Trust it. That night, the Draxians came again. 4 troop ships landed near the canyon. At least 50 soldiers marched into the rocks, carrying heavy blasters, scanners. In heat vision helmets at the front of the line was a new figure taller, darker, more dangerous. A hunter, part machine, part Draxian. This elite killer had only one goal, destroy the girl. But Lyra was ready. She stood on the canyon floor, her hands at her sides. She was alone, or so it seemed. The hunter raised a fist. The soldiers surrounded her. You are outnumbered, the hunter said. Render. Lyra looked down at the dust. Last time, you laughed at my empty hands, she said. This time, watch them burn. She closed her eyes. The dust glowed red, then gold, then white. A wave of heat rushed through the canyon. Soldiers aimed their weapons, but the dust exploded before they fired. Walls of flame shot from the rocks, forming massive arms of fire that crashed down like hammers. The canyon itself moved. The ground cracked open. Fire twisted through the air, shaped like dragons, like wings, like rage itself. The soldiers screamed. Some tried to run. They didn't make it. J. Ellen and the resistance fighters appeared on the cliffs above. They rained fire from above with old rifles and reprogrammed drones. It was a trap. The Draxians had walked right into it. Lyra stood at the center of it all, dust swirling around her like a storm. Her eyes glowed with golden fire. The air burned, but she didn't. The hunter charged her fast, silent, deadly. He jumped from a rock, aiming a spear at her chest. But Lyra raised her hand. The dust around her exploded upward, a shield of fire. The spear melted before it reached her. The hunter crashed to the ground. Rolling through the dust, he stood, again but slower now. He stared at her. You, are not possible, he said. Lyra's voice was calm. I'm just human. The hunter raised his arm. A hidden cannon popped out. He fired. The shot hit the rocks behind her. blasting them apart. Dust flew everywhere. Lyra coughed. Blinded for a second, the hunter ran toward her again, too close this time, but Lyra didn't. Run. She pressed her hands to the ground and whispered, burn. The dust erupted, not just flames, roots of fire pulling the hunter down, wrapping around his legs and arms. He fought, roared, fired again, but the flames did not let go. They climbed over his armor, melted his metal, crushed his weapon. With one final scream, the hunter exploded in a burst of white-hot fire. Silence, only smoke and sparks remained. Up on the cliffs, the resistance fighters cheered. They had seen something they never thought possible. Girl with no weapon, using the earth itself and winning. Later, back in the cave, Lyra sat by the fire again. Ina looked at her. You didn't just fight, she said. You commanded the dust. It's like no one before, Yolan added. They'll fear you now. Lyra shook her head. I don't want them to fear me. I want them to know we're not broken. We're not weak. She stood. I'm not done. Far above the planet, in orbit, Commander Varrock watched a new report. A canyon burned to the ground, a hunter killed, and a girl alive. VA Rock clenched his fist. She is becoming a weapon, he said. Then we must build something stronger. The video started with fire, a bright flash, screaming soldiers. A girl in the middle of a canyon with her hands raised and the dust burning around her like a living storm. The clip was short. Only 10 seconds, but that was enough. Within hours, it spread across the underground human networks, from secret base to hidden ship. From broken colony to mining camps hiding in asteroids, people watched it again and again. A voice whispered over the video. She holds fire in her hands, the dust. Listens to her. She is hope. They started calling her a name, the Dust Witch. In the resistance cave, Lyra watched the video on an old screen. She didn't smile. I'm not a witch, she said. JLEN grinned. People love a story. Let them have it. Ina nodded. Hope needs a face. You gave them one. Lyra looked away. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does, Ina said. Hey, but you have it now, and more are coming. They were right. The next day, a group of survivors arrived at the Cave 3 fighters from another camp. They brought supplies, weapons, and something even more powerful. Belief. You're her, one of them said to Lyra. We saw the fire. We saw the dust rise. Others came the day after that, some wounded, some angry, all ready to fight. In less than a week, the small group doubled in size. They were no longer just survivors. They were an army, but not everyone wanted to protect Lyra. Some wanted to use her. Late one night, Yalon met with a man named Torona, former resistance leader who had lost most of his team. She's strong, Torone said, but she's still just a kid. We can use her to scare the Draxians. Start real battles. Push them back. She's not a weapon, Yalon replied. Torin narrowed his eyes. You think the Draxians care about that? If we don't strike now, we lose everything. Yalon shook his head.
Ira chooses her own path, not yours.
But his look was sharp, dangerous, far above, on the Draxian command ship. Commander Varrock stood before a screen showing Lyra's video. He didn't blink. This girl is more than a soldier, he said. She's a symbol, a second in command. Stepped forward. What is the order, Commander? Send the Reaper-class droids. Burn every place that shares her image. But the humans will fight harder. Varrock growled. Let them. Fear makes fire. Fire burns everything. Back on the planet, Lyra sat in silence. She had trained for days, learning how to control the dust, how to call its power without rage. But now, her hands felt heavy. She remembered the soldier whose weapon exploded, the hunter who burned. Fear in people's eyes, even her own allies. Was she helping, or just becoming another monster? Ina sat beside her. You doubt yourself? She said softly. Lyra nodded. I don't want to be their symbol. I just wanted to survive. You're more than that now, Ina said. But the path is still yours. Lyra looked down at her hands. No fire, no glow, just skin. That night, a drone flew over the cave. It dropped no bombs. Instead, it played a message loud and clear across the rocks. Dust, which your death will end the rebellion. Come alone to the ruins of Sector 9, or we will burn every human base on this planet. The voice was Veracast. Everyone heard it. The room fell silent. Then the shouting started. We can't let her go. It's a trap. They'll kill us all if she stays. Yalin raised his hands. Enough. But the fear was growing. Lyra stood in the middle of the room, quiet, watching later. Alone in the canyon where it all began, Lyra looked at the sky. The stars felt farther than ever. Jalen. Found her there? You're thinking about going? He said. Yes. You go alone, they'll kill you. If I stay, they'll burn others. You're not responsible for every life. If she looked at him. But I have the power to protect them. That means something. Yalin sighed. I'll go with you. Shook her head. No, I have to face this myself. Yalin paused, then handed her something. A small stone gray. Glowing faintly, I found this near the fire pit, he said. It remembers you. She took it. It pulsed softly in her palm. Far away in the Draction base at Sector 9. The landing zone was ready. Troops waited. Tanks lined the roads, and in the center, Varric stood tall, his golden armor glowing under the red lights. He looked to the sky. She will come, he said, but this time she will not leave. The days grew darker. Dr. Axums spread across the planet. They attacked small resistance camps. They destroyed farms and mines. Wherever the Dust Witch's name was spoken, fire followed, but they couldn't find her, because Lyra had gone deep underground, literally beneath the burnt hills of Sector 7. In an old mining tunnel, Lyra trained with Ina and the others. It was dark, cold, and full of dust. Perfect for learning. You must feel it, not force it. Ina said, placing a dust stone in Lyra's hand. Lyra sat, cross-legged, eyes closed, breathing slow. Dust around her trembled, just a little. I don't want to just burn things anymore, she whispered. I want control. That comes from the heart, Ina said, and from trust. Outside, Yalin trained new recruits. They watched Lyra's video every night like a holy story. Some of them had seen her flames. Others just believed she's not a god, Yalin told them. She's a girl. But that girl can change everything. One recruit raised his hand. Can we learn the dust too? Yalin shook his head. Not like her. She's different. Inside the cave, Lyra heard that. She opened her eyes slowly. I don't want to be different, she said. Later, Ina showed her an old datapad with blueprints. These are the dust engines, Ina explained. They were built by humans 100 years ago. Buried in the earth, they powered the dust. You've already touched them without knowing. Lyra looked at the lines and symbols, so the power isn't just me. No, Ina smiled. But only you can speak to it. Lyra touched the screen. The blueprint glowed. That night, she had a dream. She was standing in a field of ash. The sky was black. Fire burned in the distance. Her mother stood beside her, but she looked young, strong like a memory. You're walking two paths, her mother said. One leads to light, the other leads to war. Lyra asked, which one is right? Her mother's voice was soft. That's not how it works. You choose, and the dust listens. She woke up sweating. Outside the cave, the wind blew hard. Ash fell like snow. JLEN sat by a small fire, checking maps and resistance messages. They're tightening the net, he told her. They think you'll show up at Sector 9. Lyra sat beside him. I will. He looked at her. You're really going? Yes, they'll have everything waiting for you. I know. Yulon paused. I wish I could stop you. Lyra smiled. You won't have to. The next day, she trained harder. She stood on broken ground, dust spinning around her. Ina shouted, try to lift the stone without touching it. Lyra closed her eyes. She pictured the stone rising. The dust around it glowed. It rose, then shook, then exploded into fire. She fell back. Too much emotion, Ina said. Try again. Hours passed. She learned to call sparks with just a breath. She learned to shape a shield with dust. She even learned to cool fire, to take heat away instead of giving it by nightfall. Her hands no longer shook. Her heart was steady. The dust listened. Meanwhile, deep in the Draxian command zone, Commander Varric walked through a lab full of machines. Scientists were building something big, something dark and heavy. A machine of smoke and sharp edges. This is the Dust Eater, one said. It will erase her power. It kills the ground itself. Varric smiled. Let her come, he said. She will find nothing waiting but silence and death. Back in the training cave, Ina handed Lyra a gift. It was a cloak woven from old. Pilot fabricate, strong and gray like the dust. Every soldier needs armor, Ina said. Even one like you. Lyra put it on. It fit perfectly. She looked at herself in a broken mirror. She didn't see a girl anymore. She saw a fighter later. That night, Lyra sat alone, watching the stars through a crack in the rock ceiling. Jalen joined her. You ready? He asked. No, she said. But I'm going anyway. Yalan smiled. Then you're ready. She stood. I'm going to Sector 9. Not to die, not to win, but to show them what we really are. What's that? He asked. She looked at. The stars? Human. Far away, the Draxians armed their new machines. The Dust Eater began to glow, and above it all, Varric gave a final order. Let the girl come. Let the dust rise. We will bury her in silence. Sector 9 was dead. Once, it was a mining city filled with workers and families. Now, it was just metal bones and black smoke. Every building was broken. The ground was cracked. Ash covered everything. Lyra stood at the edge of the ruins, wearing her gray cloak. The wind pulled at her hood. Her face was calm, but her hands were ready. This was where the message told her to come, and she came alone. Across the ruined plaza, the Draxians waited. Soldiers stood in formation. Machines lined the street. At the center stood Commander Varrock, his golden armor shining under the pale sky. Beside him, a massive black machine buzzed with energy. The Dust Eater, it stood like a tower. With spinning claws and a glowing core that pulsed red, Lyra stepped forward. Varrock smiled. So, the child comes. Lyra didn't answer. You think? You are fire, Varrock said. But fire dies when the air is gone. The dust obeys you, yes. But this machine will take that away. He raised his hand. The Dust Eater roared to life. A deep hum filled the air. The ground around it turned gray and lifeless. The dust stopped glowing. It fell still. Lyra looked down. The ground was dry. Dead. No light. She tried to call. Nothing happened. Varrock laughed. Now you are what we always saw. A girl with empty hands. The Draxian soldiers raised their weapons. Varrock spoke again. Kneel, surrender, and I will end you quickly. Lyra stared at him. Then she dropped to her knees. The Draxians cheered. Varrock stepped forward slowly. His weapon glowed in his hand. You had a moment, he said, but it is over. He raised the weapon, but Lyra whispered, You never understood. Paused. What? Lyra pressed both hands into the ground. Not the dead dust. Not the plaza, the cracks. Tiny cracks in the earth below, the range of the dust. Eater, she reached down past the surface, past the silence, to the heart of the world. At first, nothing happened. Then a heartbeat. The ground pulsed. The Dust Eater. Shook up Varrock, stepped back. What is this? The cracks lit up. Red, then gold, then white. Fire poured from below, not from the dust, but from the deep earth. Lyra stood, her eyes glowing like suns. You broke the surface, she said, but the planet remembers. The ground around her exploded in light. Flames shot from the cracks, weaving around her like armor. The Dust Eater groaned. Its core sparked wildly. Lyra raised one hand. The machine froze, then melted slowly from the inside out. Its parts turned to ash. Its arms dropped like broken wings. The Draxian soldiers opened fire, but the fire around. Lyra caught every blast, swallowed it, and turned it into lightning. She pointed forward. A wave of flame roared across the plaza, knocking down troops, shattering metal, melting guns. Only Varrock remained standing. He growled, "You think this is victory?" He threw off his armor, revealing black skin and glowing veins his true form. Bigger, stronger, he charged, faster than any human could move. But Lyra did not step back. She moved forward. The two collided in the center of the burning plaza. Varrock swung a blade carved from alien steel. Lyra blocked it with her arm. Fire coiled around her bones. They fought in a circle of light, shadow. Blow for blow, strike for strike, alien strength against human will. Varrock roared and slammed her to the ground. "You are nothing," shouted. Lyra coughed, blood on her lip. Then she smiled. "I am everything you tried to destroy." She slammed both hands into the earth. The fire exploded. But not just fire. Memory, the dust remembered the people who lived here, the laughter, the struggle, the love, the hope. That energy rose like a wave. It hit Va. The rock with the weight of every human dream, he screamed, and vanished into light. Silence, only fire remained floating gently like stars. Lyra stood alone in the middle of Sector 9. She was hurt, but alive and victorious. Far above, in Draxian command ships, silence spread. The screens showed only flame and one human girl standing tall. Draxian commanders gave quiet orders. Retreat. In the hidden cave, Yolan watched. The final explosion on a small screen, he whispered, "She did it." Cheers broke out. People hugged, cried, fell to their knees. But Yolan just stared at the screen. He knew it wasn't over yet, back in the ruins. Lyra fell to one knee. The fire faded. She whispered to the dust, "It's done." And the dust whispered back, warm and soft, "Not yet." The battle at Sector 9 was over. The Draxian army had fallen back. Their ships rose into the sky, dark and silent. Some exploded before leaving the atmosphere. Others just disappeared into the stars. But Lyra remained. She stood in the center of a ruined city, surrounded by fire and ash. The wind blew gently now. The dust was quiet, like it was resting. Her hands were burned. Her face was pale. Her body ached. But her eyes were still bright. She had one, but victory felt. Heavy Jelen and the Resistance arrived 2 hours later. They ran through the ruins. You're stepping over scorched metal and melted stone. When they found her, Lyra was sitting on a broken pillar. Staring at the horizon, he knelt beside her. "You did it," he said softly. She didn't answer. "You stopped them." She looked at him. "For now," she said. "But more will come." Yolan nodded. "Maybe, but now we know something."
What's
"That," he smiled, "that we don't need weapons. We don't need super tech. We just need someone who remembers who we are." Later that night, in a safe camp far from Sector 9, humans gathered to hear Lyra speak. Some had fought in battles. Some had lost families. Others had only just joined the Resistance. But all of them stood in silence when she walked in. Lyra didn't climb a stage. She didn't wear a crown or armor. She just stood with her cloak in dusty hands and spoke. "I was never trained to fight," she said. "I didn't know how to use a weapon. I was just a girl with nothing. But one day I put my hands in the dust, and it listened." She looked at the crowd, not because I was special, but because I remembered. I remembered the voices of those who came before, my mother, my people, the ones who built this world. They put their dreams into the ground, into the dust, and it's still here, still alive, still waiting. She raised one hand. A small spark danced in the air. The Draxians thought fire was a weapon, but fire is a story. And now the galaxy has heard ours. That night, her message was sent through resistance channels to every corner of human space. It traveled to moons and stations, to miners hiding on asteroids, to fighters in broken ships, to children watching behind doors everywhere. People heard the words of the dust, and the dust began to rise in the weeks that followed. More resistance cells stood up. They began pushing back, not just with guns, but with knowledge, with hope, fire. They found old Terratech buried in other world sleeping systems that began to glow again, everywhere. The dust remembered. On a far-off world, a young boy knelt on dry earth. He pressed his hands into the ground like Lyra had. At first, nothing happened. Then, warmth. A small flame flickered between his fingers. He smiled back on New Terra 5. Lyra stood at the top of a hill, looking down at a growing camp of fighters, engineers and builders. Jalen stood beside her. "They're calling this the Dust Front," he said. "A new beginning." Lyra said nothing. He looked at her. "You thinking of leaving?" She nodded slowly. "There are more places out there. More dust to wake up. More people to protect." He gave a sad smile. "Then I guess you're not done being a legend." She turned to him. "No," she said. "I'm just done standing still." Right. She walked away, down the hill, into the dust. And the dust shimmered as she passed, because it remembered her. It always would.